All right, everybody, let's get started. So the first Q&A that we have. While sitting on a bus, I heard two ladies in front of me mention my nephew's name as a boy who'd been suggested for a family member. I perked up. But to my horror, one of the ladies said, I'm a friend of his mother since elementary school, and she was a real character back then. It would be a miracle if any of her kids turned out normal. Does anyone remember this one? Okay, I'm going to continue. Chuck, so you better have the right answer when I ask you.
I tell you the answer. You like Uncle Simon, you give him a smack.
All right, question. I know who this lady is. May I inform my sister-in-law that she's blackening their family name?
No.
Chuck Rose says no. Does anybody disagree? If someone's spreading Lashon Hara, will Lashon Hara fix the Lashon Hara? Funny way to phrase it, but... Anat, I feel like you always have something to say. I want to hear what you have to say. You always such wonderful insight. I always do.
You just muted me.
I said you can unmute yourself.
She's so silly.
Lashon Hara does not, no, because if you talk Lashon Hara and you're like guilty of the same crime. But
Lashon Hara does not negate the Lashon Hara. Doesn't just cancel it out.
But it is, I don't know, something to talk about to your friend. I know, like tell her, hey, it's Lashon Hara, and I know this family, and they're not like that, or so to the friends, yes, talk to her, but not back to the family member, because that's not gonna do anything good besides the fact that she's gonna hate that girl, or it will make her resent or whatever. So there's no toilet in that.
Right, and that's a really great point. Is there toelas, right? Is there a constructive purpose in telling her? And welcome. And as we discussed, you can't just say Lashon Hara to cancel out the Lashon Hara. And Anat made an amazing point. Mention to the person who's speaking Lashon Hara at that moment, excuse me, I know this family, and clearly you don't know this family very well. Or maybe you did back in the day. Everyone has their moments, or you don't even need to bring that up. But you just say, I know this family very well. They're an amazing family. And what you're saying right now is Lashon Hara. And I'd really, it really makes me uncomfortable that you're saying this, and you shouldn't be saying this. So please stop. And there are probably plenty of other ways that you can ask her nicely to not say Lashon Hara. But probably in the moment, even if we're in a little bit of shock, in the moment is always the best place to say, hey, excuse me, what you're saying right now is Lashon Hara. And I could say I was in a situation where I actually felt ridiculous, because I teach this class and I didn't even speak up when I should have. But I was, I was with a group of people. All right. Welcome, Circa. I was with a group of people, and this person started just spouting Lashon Hara. And I was trying to, change the subject. And I was speaking with another person. I was trying to speak really loudly and change the subject, but the person was clearly very adamant to say this piece of Lashon Hara that they were saying. And the person I was speaking to just stopped and said, excuse me, what you're saying right now is Lashon Hara. Can you please stop? And the person obviously was like, oh, it's not Lashon Hara. People need to know, blah, 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 blah. And it was Lashon Hara. And I felt so ridiculous for not having said anything when this person, who, mind you, isn't super religious, but I was so impressed with the way that they just said, excuse me, can you please stop saying this Lashon Hara? But I felt ridiculous for myself that I didn't even say anything. And even if it would have been like, oh, no, it's not Lashon Hara, whatever, which I said, yes, I want to let you know that it is Lashon Hara. Let's just change the subject. I'm like, okay, the situation is known. We don't need to discuss it any further. So anyway, it's always good in the moment to just say something. Just say, hey, let's just stop it now, and not just like let it take its course and just spouting and spouting and speaking lashon hara. So that's probably the best way to go about it. And I feel like the question is, after she had already heard that this was happening, and maybe she was in a little bit of shock, and she didn't say anything, could she later tell her sister-in-law? And as Chakra said, and as Anat said, no. Most likely informing your sister-in-law would cause hard feelings between her and the woman that you overheard in the bus without any positive result, which would be rechilas with no toelis, which is exactly what Anat said. There's no constructive purpose. What would come out of it? A lot of the times when we're speaking something, when we tell someone something, there's a purpose. It could be to cause peace. It could be because someone's livelihood is on the line. In this case, it wouldn't do either of those things. It would just make the person go, are you kidding me? They're saying that stuff about my family. And then could, God forbid, end up leading to even more lashon hara. And if you're looking to stop this woman, it would be better if you speak to her directly. You can say that you overheard that what she said and that you feel bad because not only is it not true, but it may be harming a potential shidduch, which is a really big deal. You have a right to use forceful words that will get this woman to stop what she is saying. And I want to let you know that this question was asked a while back, which is why I asked if anyone remembered it. And I messaged Rabbi Wine because a beautiful woman, I believe, Tina Lack, Kalani, she did ask me, it was Daniel and Tina Lack were there, I believe. And you guys asked me, someone raised their hand. They asked me, sorry, really quickly. They asked me, what are forceful words? And I asked Rabbi Wine. And Rabbi Wine said, and then I want to hear from you, Miriam. I know you have your hand raised. But let me just find that text message. This is really, really interesting. I wrote it inside. I can use Control F. I love technology. Can I hear your question?
Yes, hi, Mariah. It's the Coughlin family.
Hi, I was hoping it was you.
Oh yeah, we were like, Buddy had told us, and we're like, yeah, the girls want to get in. And so anyway, my question is that the situation that you posed is very common, and we all run into it. And don't feel bad that you didn't say anything. But, you tried to do it in a more subtle way. That's all.
Yeah,
but
true.
And we find ourselves that's not enough, and we have to resort to what the other person did, which is actually come out right out and ask them. How do we, because I think that the main problem is we don't want to embarrass them. Like, we don't want a confrontation all of a sudden and embarrass them.
Yeah.
So where do you think is like a good, where's the line where you are defending, you're doing shmir salashin, but trying to be sensitive and not embarrass somebody?
That's great. That's a really great question. Especially, we had a question where we were discussing when you're with family members and lashon hara comes up, and then there could be this idea of, let's just not speak lashon hara, and all of a sudden it becomes, so you think you're better than me? Excuse me. And so we did have a short conversation discussing how, like you said, just there are different ways. Like, I try to do it in a way that clearly didn't work in this situation, where I was trying to change the topic. And there are other ways we had, if you're at a Shabbos table and there's lashon hara being said, and there's not a great way to get out of it, and you could cover your ears. But if you want them to, just stop, and you want to do it respectfully, as they said in this example, is going up to them privately. And I feel like don't make it that they're wrong, but show them that it makes you uncomfortable, because sometimes people will be like, well, that piece of information made you feel uncomfortable. I apologize that I did that to you. Especially when you're so close to somebody and they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. So it's not like you did this avera and you're wrong. It's that you sharing things like that, which is lashon hara. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and I know that you're better than that. We don't need to speak about them. So I mean, that's one way that I would take it. Does anyone else have another way that they would go about being respectful and being kind without, even though someone's speaking Lashon Hara. And sometimes people don't even know. And we had a few different examples actually straight from the Sefer Chofetz Chaim, where sometimes, um, people don't even know that they're doing something wrong or they're speaking Lashon Hara. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt and just be there to teach them, not to scold them.
A related question is, if I say Lashon Hara about a person and I go up to the person that I hurt, and I told that person I said Lashon Hara, could that cause embarrassment, or could that just cause escalation? Like, is
All
it
right,
better
yeah.
not
So
to
this is
apologize?
this is a separate question, which I actually
Okay,
was just listening to Rabbi Shui. I believe you mentioned it in your shir. He shared it with me. I know it's on his YouTube channel. Everyone should subscribe and watch his amazing shirim. But it was discussing the fact that should you go up to someone once you've said Lashon Hara, which I'm sorry, Miriam, I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, we could totally get back to that.
No, thank you so much. That was great. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, which is, should you go up to someone? And I believe the Chofetz Chaim says, yeah, go up to someone and apologize. And oh my gosh, I'm blanking. For a second, I thought it was the Ramban, but I don't think so. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Sorry, Rabbi Shui. I only listened to it once. I should have listened to it again. And that is.
I meant to raise my hand, but instead I put this party sign. But I meant to raise my hand.
Yes, please give it straight from you. I want to hear. I totally forgot which Rav said that you should not go up to them.
Yeah, it was the question. It was a dispute between the Chofetz Chaim and Rabbi Yisrael Salanter.
Oh, so
yeah, the question you're referring to, if you speak Lashon Hara about someone, should you go up to that person and be like, hey, I just completely tarnished your name and spoke bad about you, and could you forgive me? Right, that's what you're referring to?
I believe so. Daniel, is that what you're referring to? That's what I was answering. In a way, not, I don't think it was I didn't phrase it as harshly, but yes, basically. When you speak Lashon Hara, you're tarnishing their name, you're bringing them down, all the terrible things you could think of. So yes, please, Rabbi.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, so the the Chofetz Chaim says that I think he maintains that a person should go to the person and ask for forgiveness. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter's standpoint is more that you're going to infuse more animosity and more hatred and more negativity, really, in the situation. But I think, wasn't Daniel asking I think Daniel was asking that if you go and reprimand someone, then that within itself is going to be embarrassing them. Is that, Daniel, is that what you were asking?
No, it was the first one that you answered. But the second one I was thinking of, I thought I heard recently that saying out loud, you're saying Lashon Hara, is also a form of Lashon Hara. I thought I heard that recently from the class here.
That's.
Or maybe it was another class.
That's so interesting. I don't remember saying that. It's. I don't remember. I don't believe that I said it. But that is a really interesting point. There's there is that level where there is a way to speak Lashon Hara about yourself, and that's not allowed. And especially if someone's done teshuvah, if you've already done complete teshuvah and then you're bringing it up again, which we also said that doing complete teshuvah does include going up to that person and asking for forgiveness. So that's why something that I constantly discuss in this class is you should not are you raising your hand again, Rabbi Shui? You don't speak Lashon Hara because it's so hard to do complete teshuvah for the Lashon Hara. In terms of bringing it up to them, I don't know if that would technically be considered Lashon Hara, but if you know that it would hurt your relationship with them, your friendship, and they would end up thinking badly of you rather than go, oh wow, thank you so much for asking for forgiveness, that's really kind of you, rather than and instead they'd be like, oh my gosh, you said that about me, are you kidding me, you think I could just forgive you for saying that? So I think in that situation, I don't know if that would technically be considered Lashon Hara. I'd have to do more research on that.
Yeah, I
Um,
meant a little different, that if I hear people talking Lashon Hara about other people, by saying, you're saying Lashon Hara about these people, that could be Lashon Hara. I think with
yes.
the rabbi.
So I did get a message having to do with that, with you know, rebuking somebody in public, which could make them feel embarrassment, which is a very big sin. Embarrassing someone is as if to kill them, God forbid. So I would say that's a huge sin in itself, whether it's Lashon Hara or not. I don't know if that would, maybe, I don't know if that would fall into that category, but I would say it's a huge sin to do that. So what my friend Kalanit said is, she said you could always just shoot somebody a text and bring the Lashon Hara to their attention without everyone knowing, which is the same as just give them a call or to talk to them privately. And we also discussed the relationship you need to have with that person to actually rebuke that person. Like, are you close enough to say, sorry, what you said was Lashon Hara? Is it like you're just someone off the street going, oh my gosh, you're speaking Lashon Hara? You have to know your relationship. And what? Oh yeah, Rabbi Shui, please. Sorry, I forgot your hand is raised.
Oh no, I was just thinking. I mean, first of all, in terms of Daniel's point, the thing is, I don't know, and tell me what you think about this. I think a lot of times people associate the word Lashon Hara with speaking badly, or bad speech. But really, if you think about it, it's a more accurate translation would be not bad speech, but baseless speech. But for example, like what you're talking about, if it's litoelis, then not only is it not Lashon Hara, but it's a mitzvah to say it. If it's constructive, of course it's a mitzvah. So where Daniel's question in terms of, would it be Lashon Hara on yourself? So I don't think it would be Lashon Hara, because I mean, it's not baseless. In other words, if you're going around and randomly saying bad things about yourself, okay, that's one thing. But if you're going with a specific purpose, and this is what the Chofetz Chaim says, and I think we generally maintain by the Chofetz Chaim. I mean, yeah, there is the opinion of Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, but we abide by the Chofetz Chaim. And if you're
Right.
going for that purpose of asking the person for forgiveness and saying, hey, listen, I said something bad about you, and obviously, I guess you probably need to think of a good way to say it in order to kind of like subside anger, but of the other person. But that's not baseless. That's so it's not. No, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and Daniel also was pointing out, like, when you're just, it's a public area, and then someone's speaking Lashon Hara, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, you're saying Lashon Hara, and then it could cause them to be embarrassed. He said, could that scenario be considered Lashon Hara? So my answer was,
if you're
it's
in front of
clearly a
other
sin.
people.
So yeah, so you're answering what I thought I was answering in the first place. But
Right.
no, I 100% agree with you. And we do go by the Chofetz Chaim, so we usually ask for forgiveness if we feel like it's gonna be, if we feel like it's gonna help in some way, and also help us do complete teshuva for what we have said and what we've done, because we can never take back the words that we've said, and we can never take back especially negative things which someone could have also spread about somebody.
Right.
If it, like the word you use is great, it's tarnished. We don't know how far, God forbid, chas v'shalom, our words can go.
Right.
So
100%.
in terms of
and the other thing, the reason why I was originally raising my hand is I wanted to ask you, because we're talking about giving people rebuke. We know there's a mitzvah, right? There's a mitzvah in the Torah of hocheach tochiach es hamisecha, which basically means it's a general commandment to give people rebuke. If you could correct someone, then give people rebuke. So if you think about it, okay. I mean, it's a whole discussion within itself. And if you don't think the person, I mean, there are different sources for this. Primarily, the Shari Tshuva talks about that if you don't think the person is going to listen to you, then you shouldn't. So obviously, you need to do it in a smart way. That's how he understands, whatever. He reads it into because the whole pasuk basically says that you should rebuke someone and don't carry a sin. So he basically understands that to mean that if they're not going to listen to you, and it's just going to end up backlashing, so then you shouldn't give the rebuke. So over
Yeah,
here,
and there are many
really,
situations in which you shouldn't rebuke someone. Like if you're rebuking them and you have some intention of, making them feel uncomfortable, you should have pure intentions that you just want to help them fix what they're doing. And like you said, you need to know that they're actually going to take your rebuke and change. If it's someone who is not the type to just go, oh right, yeah, no, I did something wrong, I'm definitely going to stop. Or if it's someone like, I don't even know you, who are you to tell me what I should be doing? Which is why, from what I've learned, you have to have a close enough relationship with them that, first of all, you know that they listen to you, and second of all, that they would, that they take it well. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, so there are different, I guess there are different variables like to take into factors. Okay, so I guess basically in terms of if they're going to listen to you, but and you gotta flush that through. But like if they're really going to listen to you, but basically what it emerges from this, if I'm understanding you correctly, that besides for the lashon hara aspect of that, you don't want to listen to lashon hara and you don't want to accept lashon hara, but we have to understand that we're really helping the speaker of lashon. I mean, it's an independent obligation within itself that besides for protecting ourselves, we're also giving, bettering them, and we're giving them this fits within the realm of generally giving rebuke, of course, if they're going to accept the rebuke,
Right, and even if you let them to continue to do what they're doing, and you are in a position to rebuke them and help them, then I believe that would essentially be placing a stumbling block before a blind man, where you're just, especially if you're a listener. If you're a listener, even if you're saying you're not going to be an acceptor of lashon hara, then you're placing a stumbling block before them because you're making them sin. So yeah, I really appreciate you pointing that out. It's a great point to be made, especially when we haven't even really we did discuss slightly the aspect of rebuke when it comes to lashon hara, but we mostly spoke about the fact that we're not supposed to be listening to lashon hara. It's a sin. We could come to believe that we're not supposed to even obviously be speaking lashon hara. And these are such great questions. Oh my goodness, thank you guys. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to say or add to what we've spoken about, or a question that we can discuss for next class?
Oh, I just wrote on the chat. I don't know how it works. I just said very nice. That was my that was my response.
Thank you. Was that very nice to my response, my answer?
That's what I was saying. I was saying your answer was very nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know. Is that it? I know we had two great questions. Oh yes, thank you, Lisa. Oh, this is why I have notes to self all over the place. And my notes to self are Lisa and Rivka Sirkin. So thank you. And we did have a question. We said, what are considered forceful words? Because I believe Kalanit, please correct me if I'm wrong, she asked an amazing question. She goes, you're allowed to use forceful words. What type of forceful words should we be using if we're letting someone know, or if we're asking someone to stop speaking lashon hara? And in this situation, it's we want to stop someone from causing harm, and it says you have the right to use forceful words that will get this woman to stop what she is saying. And so then I believe the question was, what are you supposed to cuss at them? You're supposed to yell at them? What are forceful words? Which was an amazing question because I had no idea what to say to that. So I asked Rabbi Wein, which Eliza brilliantly reminded me. Thank you so much. Rabbi Wein said it's referring to words that have strong emotions behind them. Things like saying that what you did was very wrong, and then he said, and then Rabbi Wein also said that this is a chiddush. This is something that you can't just use forceful words for anything. This is really specifically for lashon hara. It says because usually you're not allowed to manipulate people in such a way. The reason you could do this is because it's for the good. So when it comes to lashon hara and you want someone to stop speaking lashon hara, you can use forceful words. I would use maybe how would you use that? I would say that it would be being a little extra. If I could use that. Someone's trying to say something and you go, do you know how much it hurts me that you are saying this. You know, any type of emotional response you can have, be extra, show them that you disapprove. And every time we hear Lashon Hara, we should always show that we disapprove, even if it's super juicy. Don't listen and don't approve of it, and show them that you disapprove. So anyway, that was the forceful words part, which I'm so glad that we discussed. You know, oh my gosh, what date was this? Because I have all the dates written for the classes. I don't know. I guess I don't. Oh, this is. I believe this was the second or third class that we had. So amazing, whoever's here and was there all that time ago in March. Anyway, that's how I will end it, talking about, you know, use forceful words. If you're hearing Lashon Hara and you want to get them to stop, and rebuke maybe isn't the best way to go about it. I mean, I guess that would also be rebuke, but anyway, thank you everybody for joining. I really, really appreciate it. You're all wonderful. Thank you for the questions. I know we didn't get to the Sefer Chofetz Chaim today, but you have plenty of time. Please join next week, and hopefully we'll ask more questions and get more into it. Thank you, Rabbi Shui. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Kalani. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Anat.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Circa. Circa, I end with Circa, of course. Okay, everyone have an amazing evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have
You
a
too.
great night.
Thank you.